Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. I am very grateful that the mainstream media is digging into the SEC versus Ripple case to a degree greater than ever before. First it was with Forbes, then we saw the New York Times, and now we've got Charles Gasparino, who's a journalist with Fox Business Network. He's been with them for over a decade at this point, and he's digging up all of the information. In this case, I would classify it as dirt, having to do with SEC primarily. But he's been digging all this up and getting caught up to speed and just reporting the facts. The facts are facts. And it's so nice to see this being discussed in mainstream media, being discussed on television here. So we're very fortunate that Charles Gasparino has taken an interest in this and really actually is digging into this point. And in a very recent comment here on Twitter, he stated something which is just factually true, and it's both bad and good to hear, which is simply, look, there's further proof that the SEC is pushing innovation overseas, so that's the bad part, but the good part is that Ripple is thriving outside of the U.S., and so those comments led to this story from crypto media outlet U Today, which is titled, "Ripple Keeps Thriving Outside United States Despite SEC Harming Its Domestic Business." And so before jumping into this any further, I do want to be clear that I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos, but just as a hobby, just for fun. That's all that's going on here. And so let's jump into this first piece now. Fox Business's Charles Gasparino has taken to Twitter to share the information received from sources close to Ripple Labs' top executives. Now, according to them, it is only Ripple's business inside the USA that has been hurt by the current legal suit brought against it by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, beyond the United States, according to these people, Ripple's blockchain business continues to thrive. By the way, I'm going to highlight evidence of this. But anyway, the piece continues. As reported by You Today recently, Ripple had set up another on-demand liquidity corridor from Japan to the Philippines. Besides, the company keeps expanding its RippleNet network. One of the companies added to it recently was UK-based Paydeck. And I'll pause here. I reported on that in a video just the other day, went into a reasonable amount of detail. So it's just nice to see all this adoption. And so with the UK-based Paydeck situation, that's not something that immediately is going to benefit XRP in terms of adoption, but it certainly can, because we are talking about RippleNet adoption in that case, but every RippleNet customer is a potential on-demand liquidity customer also, and on-demand liquidity does require the usage of XRP. It's the only way to solve the train wreck that is the settlement portion of cross-border payments. That's it. Humans have not devised another solution to that. But anyway, piece continues. It intends to use Ripple's on-demand liquidity technology to expand its business in Africa and Latin America and organize seamless, cheap, and fast remittances and payments for on-demand workers and freelancers. And so on-demand liquidity not live with them now, just to be clear. Gasparino emphasized that the SEC's agenda against cryptocurrency companies, the SEC has also recently threatened to take Coinbase to court over upcoming launch of their Lend product. In Ripple's success outside the U.S. proves the SEC is forcing innovation to occur outside the U.S. And so here's the actual tweet from Charles Gasparino, reads as follows. Breaking. People close to Ripple say while the SEC case over XRP has hurt its domestic business is thriving overseas. Further proof the SEC's crypto enforcement agenda is forcing innovation to occur outside the United States. Story developing. And these are absolutely true words. That's why I did highlight a couple of these stories here to point out, like this is one from April 15th, 2021, just to highlight that despite the nonsense that's happened in the United States and the fact that almost all of the liquidity of XRP in the United States is dead and it can't be used for on-demand liquidity today, you are seeing adoption of on-demand liquidity in XRP in other parts of the world because the technology Ripple has in conjunction with XRP and the XRP ledger, it can solve real problems for real people. That's what's going to result in long-term viability. If that's not going to be the case in perpetuity, the fact that it's solving real problems for real people, then it goes away. At some point, every crypto goes away if it's not solving real problems for real people. Period. And so you can see here, this piece was tied. I'm not going to read the piece really, but it's from Crypto Briefing. Ripple partners with Novati Group on XRP adoption. I'll just read a few bullet points. But Ripple has announced a partnership with Novati Group, which will see RippleNet and on-demand liquidity used in remittances. The partnership will focus on Australia and the Philippines, and is part of Ripple's efforts to sign deals in the Asia-Pacific region. So we've known that they've been focusing on that region for some time. And again, that will directly impact XRP. And then there was this one from Cointelegraph. This one's a little bit more recent, July 28th, 2021. Japanese remittance firm to use Ripple on-demand liquidity for money transfers to the Philippines. And so you can see, showcasing the use of cryptocurrency in monetary transfers, Ripple has become a known partner for traditional institutions that wish to revamp their cross-border remittance services. Taking this vision further, Ripple announced a new partnership with Japan's SBI Remit to transform remittance payments from Japan to the Philippines. Ripple's latest partnership will see the involvement of mobile payment service Coins.ph. I'll pause there. Coins.ph is the cryptocurrency exchange that serves as the pool of liquidity for on-demand liquidity transfers. And so anyway, Ripple's latest partnership will see the involvement of mobile payment service Coins.ph and digital asset exchange platform SBI VC Trade to provide a cheaper remittance option to its customers. And this will be made possible by using XRP to eliminate the pre-funding cost. And so, folks, again, like I keep saying, I know we have to wait. You got to wait for the asset class to mature and for the rest of the people to catch up to what we already know about XRP. This is true. But what happens when they do? That's what I'm saying. It's going to be gigantic as far as I'm concerned. And if anything ever starts to shift and it doesn't look like XRP is being widely adopted, it no longer looks viable, I'll be screaming it from the rooftops on the Moon Lambo channel. But right now, that's not the case. Right now, it's being adopted. And I think the pace at which it's being adopted will increase exponentially as time passes. You get a snowball effect with technology as things progress. Look at a technology bell curve. That's just how it is. And then there was this. Here's a tweet from attorney John Deaton, who, of course, is the attorney seeking to intervene in the SEC versus Ripple case on behalf of over 20,000 XRP holders now. Public service announcement. To the people who believed they could advance their own financial interests at the expense of individual investors, Charles Gasparino continues to report. Crypto Law US is preparing a new memo for wide distribution. The digital asset investor and others won't rest. The fight has just begun. And indeed, so the XRP community is on this. And as far as that memo from Crypto Law US, I checked before recording. It's not available yet, so I don't know exactly what that is. But as soon as it's out, I will be happy to discuss it. I'm sure it's going to be fascinating. And then there was this. So I put out this tweet the other day after I put out a video where I highlighted that Gary Gensler was... He has admitted some things in the past that he's now saying are not the case. And so here was my tweet. Gensler literally admitted that Ripple did not have regulatory clarity in April 2018 using his own mouth words. In August 2021, Gensler stated things are, quote, very clear, end quote, on regulatory clarity. I want to see April 2018 Gary Gensler debate August 2021 Gary Gensler. And so that was my tweet. And I would love to see that. Allegedly they're the same human, but they're kind of not. I mean, it's only a few years of difference. How do you go from one extreme to the other? Like, these positions are not a hop, skip, and a jump away. Like, these are just light years apart. I don't see how you go from saying, yeah, Ripple did not have regulatory clarity to, oh, it was very clear the whole time. And so if you thought that back then, if you thought that Ripple had regulatory clarity back then, but now you don't, why should you expect that they should have known that what they were doing was illegal when you, Gary Gensler, did not know in 2018, and now you're running the SEC? That doesn't make any sense. And it gets even more hypocritical with this new clip here. And I'm not going to play the clip, and I didn't transcribe it. I'm just going to describe it to you. But this is fascinating. So this clip goes on for 1 minute and 41 seconds. You can see on the left is the more recent clip from 2021, Gensler testimony before Congress. This is Senator Toomey, who's questioning Gary Gensler. And then on the right, you have Gary Gensler in 2018 when he's teaching at MIT. And so on the left with the 2021 clip, there's Gary Gensler saying that the vast majority of cryptocurrencies are securities. Almost all of them. He said that there are a few rare exceptions That's pretty much it. And so then, and then Mr. Toomey here, he pushed back and he said, look, there's definitely not sufficient regulatory clarity here. How is it that you're, or no, he didn't say how is it. He said that you shouldn't. He says you shouldn't bring enforcement action against anyone, given that you haven't provided legal clarity. And so he's just kind of putting Gensler in his place, and he should, because Gensler is wrong on this, and the behavior is disgusting from him and the SEC. It's not okay to bring enforcement action when there aren't clear rules of the road. And it's very obvious, because look, some of the highest up people at the SEC over the last several years I've been highlighting on this channel, they have been reporting on the purpose of the Hinman speech. Like, for instance, I believe the guy's name is Robert Jackson, former SEC commissioner. He has admitted this. He said this is the intent. And the reason that they were relying on that and regulating through enforcement is because his opinion, I don't agree with this, but his opinion is that, the technology is changing so fast we can't bring laws, because even if we did, they'd be outdated by the time they were put in effect, which I think is garbage, by the way. I think that's absolute garbage. You can certainly have a framework, because what you need to do is just have a framework surrounding what's sufficiently decentralized to the point where it doesn't represent a common enterprise, because if it doesn't represent a common enterprise, then it doesn't satisfy one of the prongs of the Howey test. And if it doesn't satisfy one of the prongs of the Howey test, then it's not a security. In order to be a security, you must satisfy all prongs of the Howey test. And so XRP most certainly does not. But that's it. And so you're like, if you do that and then throw in safe harbor, you're like 90% of the way there. And so that's what Gensler said there on the left in 2021. It's very clear. He says there's sufficient regulatory clarity, and almost every cryptocurrency on the planet is a security. But then on the right, in 2018, before he was SEC chair, he said about 75% of all cryptocurrencies are not securities. He says that they're commodities. 3/4 of all cryptocurrencies, not securities. What the hell happened, Gary? From 2018 to 2021, you flipped. So they were 75% commodities and not securities, at least at a minimum, even if you're not going to classify as commodities. Although he did say that he thinks that they're commodities, or at least back then he did. 75% of them to today, there's just a handful that are not securities. No, I don't believe you for a second. No. This is a power grab. He's now running the SEC, and whatever is good for the SEC, because that's his job, that's what he's going to push for. It's not about what is ethically right. This guy you can't trust. This is very clear. And I had hopes, like, if you've watched me back half a year ago when he came in, I was like, okay, let's give Gary time to get in. Let's see how he behaves. Let's see how he acts. And I couldn't be more disgusted with what I've seen ever since he came in. All this enforcement by, regulation by enforcement, and just going after areas that it doesn't seem like the SEC should be sticking its nose in the business of, like DeFi and in general, and these lending programs, which look more like checking and savings accounts than anything else. Like fine, I get it. Go after the scams. I'm not saying that every single thing that you've gone after is you shouldn't have gone after. I'm not saying that. There are all sorts of ICOs that actually are garbage and did violate the law. That go after them. That's fine. But even so, you should still provide regulatory clarity for the space, because to not do that is a tremendous disservice to everyone, including investors. Like, people are putting their money in this, and if you're destroying projects, you're destroying the wealth of people that put their money in those projects. Like, this is not respectable. This is not okay. That's why everybody's calling you out. It's so clear. The only people on your side, Gary, are at the SEC. Like, nobody, any outsider, like, they'd be quite the outlier if they agree with you. Like, anybody that is unbiased that hears about this stuff, no, they're not agreeing with you for obvious reasons here. And so John Deaton wrote about this clip here. He said, as an educator and before becoming SEC chair, he honestly believed 75% of all tokens are not securities. Now, as chairman of the SEC, Gary Gensler believes most digital assets are securities. Which Gary do you believe? I'm gonna go with 2018 Gary, when he didn't have a reason to lie about this. He was just teaching at a course what he honestly thought, right or wrong. And in 2021, he's a biased man at this point. He's got to defend his beloved SEC, even if it harms people. And that's where we are. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.